We have traded things of inherent value for things of perceived value. Things like nature, connection, spiritual connection, connection with one another, connection with the land, with nature, with trees, with animals, peace, and just connection with life, valuation of human life and just life in general. And we have traded that for human-made things, man-made things of perceived higher value. When these things oftentimes, at least in my opinion, they overcomplicate life, they stress us, they create anxiety, they create ideas of loss that wouldn't have been there otherwise, create jealousy, create fighting, and just lead to very destructive ideologies and ways of thinking internally and believing internally. And then also it's manifested in these outside systems that we see around us that do not prioritize life, that do not prioritize human beings, that don't prioritize what life is really about at the core, which is existing and being connected, seeing another human being, connecting with them, having that community, having that care for the other person, really seeing that person fully for who they are, seeing life around you fully for what it is, the inherent beauty in all of that. And we trade it for these shiny objects where all that glitters is definitely not gold. And we create all of this suffering for ourselves. For what? For these things that we never needed, to create this suffering and struggle that we never needed, to just overcomplicate our lives and waste our lives away chasing these things, going after these things, fearing losing these things, holding on to these things with an iron grip, when in reality, they're really not that valuable. They're really not. So we've become very misguided, I would say. And it's just like our focus and our attention have been on the wrong things for a very long time, and likely will continue to do that until we have enough individuals who see the reality for what it is and see through this perceived value and actually start seeing real value again. And we start shifting back individually, internally, which will then create a different external. Everything starts from within. I believe that in every single individual one of us. And I think we just need to take the time to slow down and ask ourselves, what do we really care about? Like envisioning if we are on our deathbed, that's going to happen for every single one of us. We are going to die one day, and we don't know when it is. It could be tomorrow, it could be 2 months from now, it could be years from now, it could be 30 or 40 years from now. We don't know. But if we really sit and envision, actually sit and feel and envision you are old, you're dying, that's going to happen, you're going to be in that moment at some point. What really mattered through this time that you were here? Was it really any of these ideas of fame, celebrity, events, flashy cars, the house that you lived in, the items that you owned? Is that really what you're going to be thinking about in those final moments when you're taking those last breaths and you're exiting this life as a human? Birth and death are illusions, so I mean it's all part of the same thing. But is that really, as a human being, that's what you're going to value? That's how you lived your life? That's what you lived it for? Was the money and the things? I just hope that we can take more time. I know the system, the way it's been created, it keeps people busy, and there's a reason for that. You keep people busy, keep people distracted. Why would they question things like this? Why would they think about things like this? You're too in it. You're lost in the sauce. And maybe the system benefits from more and more people being lost in the sauce. To not get out and take time and slow down, deprioritize these things that maybe shouldn't have been prioritized in the beginning, and start reprioritizing what we really care about. Nature, the soil, the water, healthy food, being connected to one another, being outside, getting sun, valuing our health, being active and moving our bodies, dancing, playing music, having experiences with one another, going and just swimming in the river, simple pleasures, simple things. The things that gave us, for generations, our ancestors, that gave them so much happiness. so much fulfillment, simple things. Yet we have so much of these things that we've created, these perceived value things that are so high up there. Yet our joy and our happiness, almost in peace as well, almost never hits that level of depth that our ancestors had. Not to say they didn't have struggles, not to say that they didn't have hardships in life. Of course they did. But we are creating more and more suffering and creating more and more hardships manufactured by ourselves, creating a prison for ourselves. I just hope we can take more time to ourselves, to sit with ourselves, and really question what we value and where we want to go and how we want to live individually, and then building that out into the collective and shifting over time what we want to see and how we want to live and what we want to prioritize. It all starts from here. It all starts within us.